I think by having this collection on campus, we can kind of promote biodiversity and kind of create example of biological richness right in the center of the city where sometimes it's hard to find. Prior to me starting here 2 years ago, um, some faculty member or members in our biology department um, wanted to create a document or an inventory of the trees around campus and identify which ones were native trees native to Wisconsin, so that students could learn about those trees and see them and have discussions in the classroom about why that matters and why that's important.
The native tree collection acts as a small haven of biodiversity in the midst of the city, opening different habitats and niches for pollinators and species that would otherwise struggle here. As famous biologist E.O. Wilson states, biodiversity as a whole forms a protective shield protecting each of the species that together compose it, ourselves included.
Humans, just as a force, change our surrounding environment. And a lot of what we do now, though, that we weren't doing years ago, is bringing in outside species, be that animals, be that, plant life. And these can have consequences we don't foresee.
Many scientists agree that Earth is moving into a new geological epoch called the Anthropocene, or the Age of Man. Its effects are already seen in climate change, rapid biodiversity loss, conversion of natural areas to single crop farms and factories, as well as the manipulation of natural resources, such as bees, to produce consistent, year-round crops.
In our monoculture agriculture system, we have vast fields of one kind of product, which means the bloom is only for a couple of weeks at a particular time. And the way that we make monoculture agriculture maximize its output is to minimize any other varieties of anything else there. So there is nothing, there are no weeds, there are no plants, there are nothing around but whatever it is, the strawberries, the raspberries, the orchard, whatever. So when those bees get packed up in a box and driven away, that's great, but all the other ones that are there are going to starve because once the flowers are gone, there's nothing to eat.
But this issue can be avoided by utilizing the many benefits native trees have on the community.
So I think it's providing a community resource, whether you want to think of that as like a living museum or strictly like as an economic resource that helps promote kind of an ecological resiliency to some of the threats that cities face. Anything from climate change to land use change and development. I think that native biodiversity safeguards us from a lot of the kind of ecological and economic costs that those things can cause.
The support for the continuation and expansion of the native tree collection and local pollinator populations can also aid in the growth of urban gardening, as seen with the Sisters of St. Francis.
This initiative of trying to get us to plant more fruit and nut trees and put more gardens around needs pollinators, right? We put bees over at the Sisters of St. Francis on their really nice natural grounds. They had an orchard there, and the orchard was slated for chopping down because there just was no fruit being produced. And the sisters came to me and said, "Can you put bees here?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, we can do it." And within the second year of having the bees there, the trees were so abundant with blossoms and then fruit that we started having problems of limbs breaking because of the weight of the fruit that was on it.
It can be a source of pride that with the future we face, we can know about and engage in a program that works to instill hope in people, even if it is as simple as planting trees. When asked what about the native tree collection gave them the most hope, this is what those most familiar with the project had to say.
But something that does give me a fair amount of hope is, even though, So I've got this list alongside the map of all the native species and all the non-native species that we have on campus. And even though there are a lot of non-native species, if you just look at the length of the list and the diversity of each, we do have a very broad range of native species that we represent here on campus, whereas the outside species that we brought in, there's a fair amount of them, but it's for the most part limited to a few select species. So we have a broad diversity here on campus. I think if we invest more in that, it's not something that I think would be too hard to do, and I think it's something that students would appreciate. Going on campus and you're not just seeing one kind of maple everywhere. You're like, you get almost a variety pack of what you could experience anywhere in Wisconsin.
People are waking up to the reality that we are connected to this planet, and that we have a responsibility to, if we're going to manipulate it to our benefit, that we also should take the responsibility of ensuring that we kind of maintain the rest of the web. So if we want to build a condo in the web, we have to connect all the pieces of the web that we cut to make that condo and put them all back together around the edges so that the web keeps working. And if we just keep thinking, nah, I can just plow a roll right through the middle of anything and not care, we're not connected at all to the bigger web of the world. So as I hear about student initiatives and community initiatives that re-engage into that web, makes me feel like there's hope.